I would love to get my book. I said, I'm like, I would love for my book to be in the hands of 1 million women. Like that for me is like one of my focus and my drivers. The monetary ripples of that is fantastic, but it's like, that's where my intention and my vision is at. And I think that's different for some people. Hello, Cailen. Welcome to the episode. I am so honored to have you here today.
Hey, Renee. So good to see you again.
I know. You and I connected way long time ago. It's been what, a couple years now?
Yeah, I would say like
Yeah.
3 or 4 since the
Okay.
first time we connected.
Yeah. And then we've kind of been circling. I sometimes get hit with your Facebook or not Facebook ads, your YouTube ads.
Yes.
You use YouTube ads, which maybe at some point we'll pick your brain about because I've never dove into YouTube. YouTube's like not been the platform I've been on, but almost every time I get on YouTube, I get one of your ads. It's funny. Yeah.
Well, you're my type of woman, so I'm glad they're showing up for you.
Yeah, I see them all the time. So it's been such a pleasure just to kind of see you in the online space and kind of see what you've been navigating over the last couple of years. I know you and I were just chit-chatting about like all the fun things we're going to talk about today. But for those of the people listening that maybe have never met you, would you mind just kind of introducing yourself and giving a little bit of your story?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Cailen Ascher. I am a business coach. I've been a coach for over 10 years now, which is crazy to say. I'm also a mom. I've got 2 daughters. They're 11 and 8. And honestly, what I am most passionate about is working with women who are here for more than just to have a business. They're deeply, feeling into what their soul's calling them forth to bring into this world. And I love partnering with them on their business journey because it's not just a journey of strategy. It's really about bringing their fullness into the world and into the work that they do. And so I'm so excited for our conversation today because I know that's exactly the type of woman that you are and the women that circle around you, because these are just spaces where I feel so at home.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know if I know this, but like what got you into the online business world 10 years ago?
Yeah. So I have always been an entrepreneurial spirit ever since I was a kid. I started my first business in high school and it was actually really successful. If I had kept it going, it probably would have gotten pretty big. But it was a party service business. So I was working alongside caterers doing serving and, it at people's homes. And the thing that was really cool is I was making like 25, $30 an hour when all of my friends were working at like the video store making, $4 an hour. And so
Yeah.
it was really, it gave me the opportunity to see how if I provide something that's really useful, that I can make really good money. What I didn't love about it was working nights and weekends. That
Yeah.
like all of my fun free time was eaten up work, being at other people's parties where I was like washing dishes. And then after college, I was really kind of feeling into what I wanted to do, what was the work I was meant to bring into the world. I started an interior design company and did that for a few years, was like the youngest designer in like the show house and did all sorts of cool things. And then what really started me on the path that I'm on now is when I went for my yoga teacher certification. And I really felt into how there's like this energy bigger than me that I felt supporting me and guiding me. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's something here. And so I got certified as a yoga instructor. I started teaching yoga, but I love business. So I was like built a website and I started blogging and I started getting like these cool gigs and opportunities. And the other teachers who had been at the studio far longer than me and had their established class following we're sort of watching from the sidelines being like, what is this newbie doing? Like she's getting these cool opportunities. She's really building a brand. She's not just waiting for the studio to bring her clients. And they asked for my support to help them build out beyond the studio space. So that's how I got into business coaching. I was working with yoga teachers and yoga professionals, helping them with their businesses. And then as I stepped into motherhood, that's when I opened up beyond just the yoga community because I wasn't teaching as much at that point and things were shifting as they do as you step into motherhood. And so that was about 10 years ago. And that's when I landed in the, business coaching space, working with women, service providers, a lot of coaches
Mhm.
themselves. Yeah.
Isn't it funny? Like the more that I talk with women, and I don't know if this was the same for you, but I feel like when I started my business, I thought like, this is where I'm going to go and this is what I'm going to create and this is what I'm going to be. And then there was all these like stepping stones and things shift or things fall away or things fail or this or that and then you look back and you're like, wow, I needed all of those parts and all of those stories and all of those lessons. I don't know if you know much about human design, but I'm a 3, which is the experimenter. And so there's a whole heck of a lot of like trial and error and trying things and failing at things and experimenting. And when I learned that about myself as a human in human design, I was like, oh, that gives me so much more permission and grace for like why things have always trialed and erred so many times. But I think even then we look back at that story of like that evolution of who you were and who you are and how you went on that journey. I'm guessing that there was pieces of that that needed to happen that if you look back, you're like, wow, I wouldn't have had it any other way.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when you're in it, sometimes it sucks where you're like,
Yeah.
oh my
Yeah.
God, I thought this was the thing. And now here I am feeling like it's not. It's hard. But
Yeah.
in retrospect, I really do see how all the pieces aligned just as they needed to, and why certain things were delayed when I wanted them
Mhm.
sooner, or why certain things didn't come
Mhm.
through when I really wanted them to. Because I mean, honestly, I don't think I just turned 40. So I don't think me now, with all the lessons I've learned and the place that I'm at, I don't think I could have held this at 25
Yeah.
as much as I thought I wanted it at 25, like the big business and the team and all of this. Like, I just hadn't lived enough life. And that's not to say you
Yeah.
can't be super successful in your 20s and like strike gold. But for me, on my personal journey, I just needed to live a lot more life and move through a lot
Mhm.
more initiations before I was ready to just fully, and not that I feel like I
Mhm.
fully arrived, but be here in this moment of my business.
Mhm. What do you think was one of the biggest things in that journey that you had to learn to be able to hold what you're holding now?
I think the biggest shift has been my definition of success.
Okay.
In my 20s, success was very money oriented. It's like,
Mhm.
I want to make so much money, want to be able to buy all the things.
Yeah.
And now, 15 years later, I success is so much more of a feeling. It's about
Mm.
feeling supported and feeling steady and
Mhm.
secure and feeling like I'm making a difference. And
Mhm.
yes, there is a money component to that, because if I was making no money and had no way of supporting my family, I wouldn't feel safe and secure,
Mhm. Mhm.
steady, and all of those things. But success for me has become so much more of a felt experience
Mhm.
internally rather than an externally validated thing.
Mhm. Mhm. Do you think, cuz like what I've noticed in that is that the external put me into a lot of place of striving and hustling and pushing and beyond what I felt like was good and right for me. Like even up until like a couple years ago, like, and I think for a long time I did not realize like how much of a toll it was taking on my body until it was like diagnosed with melanoma and then had tore a labrum in my hip and like having all these weird toothache problems and like my body was literally revolting. And it wasn't until it got to that place where like in 1 year all of those things hit at one point. I was like, oh, I think that I have been chasing somebody else's metric of success.
Yes.
I've been chasing, and for me personally, I found that one of the metrics of success that I didn't even consciously know I was chasing was like validation from mentors and coaches that I was working with. And I didn't even realize that that was something that I was chasing until I reached it. And I was like in that sphere and world and was like, oh, I'm not actually feeling like you said, the feeling that I thought I was going to feel when I hit this level. I'm like, why am I chasing this? Like, why, what is this? So I wonder if like the same for you, if like there was pieces of it that at the time you did not even recognize and realize that you were chasing those successes, maybe based on what somebody else had said.
Yeah, definitely. That lands for me where I realized at so many different moments where I'd be working, and it's interesting you brought up mentors, because where I'd be working with
Mm-hmm.
a mentor and then suddenly my version of success would look more like theirs, of like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, she's like jetting off to Paris every quarter and she's hosting retreats there and she's getting, all glammed up and doing these gorgeous photo shoots in high heels and like
Yeah.
all this stuff. And I'm like, is that what I want? Like, is that what
Yeah.
success is? Is that what I should lean into? And I mean, God, I haven't put on a pair of high heels in I don't know how many years. Like that just will not work for me. Like I'm used to being in my socks um, at home. So it was, yeah, I definitely had moments of that where I'm like, this isn't even mine. This isn't even
Mm-hmm.
what I want. And and it's also changed. I think honestly, there were things that I truly wanted or thought I wanted
Mm-hmm.
at certain
Mm-hmm.
points along the way. And, starting out when I was, started my first business when I was dating my now husband. And now we've got like this whole life with these two amazing kids. And, you know, we're just adults now. We're
Yeah.
not like,
Yeah.
these two kids out of college. And so it does evolve. And I think one of the beautiful opportunities we have when we are embracing our business journey as also a path of personal growth and spiritual growth is giving ourselves permission to reevaluate those things and say,
Mm-hmm.
is this really what I want anymore? Is this
Yeah.
like my, just to be transparent and anchor this with an example, my business for the last 3 years has brought in over $500,000 a year. I would have thought that if you told me 10 years ago, yeah, by the time you hit 40, you're going to have a $500,000 a year business. You're going to have this beautiful team that supports you, all of these amazing women. I would have been like, oh my gosh, life's going to be so easy. I'm going to have zero problems. I'm going to feel amazing all the time. And it's like, no, life still happens. I still have
Yeah.
super low days where I'm really frustrated and like think I'm going to burn my business to the ground. And then another day where I have this super high high.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this is amazing. And I feel so deeply grateful. And, honestly, now I do a lot more to anchor myself into the gratitude and
Mm-hmm.
appreciation. But I think when we're just looking at something from the outside,
Mm-hmm.
we think it can be like the answer to all our problems. But if we're not doing the internal work to just feel okay, to feel safe in and of ourselves when we're at whatever level we're not going to find it by something
Mm-hmm.
outside of ourselves. We're still going to
Mm-hmm.
bring all of that with us into those new situations. And so healing all along the way, I feel like is something that is, for me, has been so important to keep looking at what is this kicking up in me and why am I so attached to this external result? And what on the inside can I look at instead?
Yeah, it just brought up for me, like, I know that there's a lot, like, I mean, if you go to Reddit and stuff, there's a lot of, I was like, Googling somebody the other day and there was like all this negative commentary on Reddit around coaches and online
Mm,
businesses and like all the space. And so I know that there's a lot of mixed reviews that we hear from people about coaching and businesses and things. But even looking at it from the lens of like running an online business is one of the biggest personal growth things that anybody could ever do. Right. Like my dad, I have had actually this conversation with people. I'm like, my dad has been a super successful business owner. He's owned multiple different businesses. And yes, I think that he has done some personal growth work and whatnot, but it's more in the sense of like put to the flame and I walk myself through it versus I'm digging in and trying to do all this healing work and I'm trying to do all this expansive stuff. I think it's a different journey. I have found like there's parts of me some days I'm like, how did he become so successful and do what he did without doing all this work that I'm doing on myself? Like those types of questions. But I think, like you said, like coaching and development is like sometimes the biggest result that we get out of it is the growth and the work that we do of our own. Not even necessarily the income or the whatever. It's like I've become a totally different person than I was 10 years ago. Like I'm not the same person. And I look back at my Instagram feed, or the other day I was like looking through some old email sequences and I was like, good God, was that really what I was emailing out? Or was that really what I was posting? Or is that really what I was saying? And to just see that evolution of myself over the last decade or so, it's like, wow, that is the work. Like that is what we're doing. That is a huge level of success for me that I don't think that most people kind of attribute to. Like, right? We look at it, it was like, well, what's the bank statement say? And what does the numbers say? And what do the things say? And like, what do all those other things say? Rather than looking at like, what are those other metrics of success? Like, what are those things? I love being able to pick up my kids from school every day, but I've definitely entered into a season where I'm like, if somebody else can pick them up for me for the day, it would be fantastic. But like that essence of I have the capability and the capacity and the availability most days to be able to pick them up from school and to shuttle them all around the county all day after that, and as much as I complain sometimes about that, like have that freedom and to have that ability to do that, and those are metrics of success that nobody really talks about. Nobody really highlights that. It's all just in the number. And yes, sometimes the number is the thing that gets you those things, but it's like, that's not where our energy needs to go, I feel like sometimes. All right, love. If you have not gone over and secured your spot at the Awaken Your Wild Feminine retreat, what are you waiting for? Like, seriously, this retreat is everything. This retreat has left every woman who's come before leaving feeling like it was the most powerful thing that happened to them that year. It is the thing, the catalyst that has allowed so many women to book bigger podcasts, to get on more stages, to sell out offers, to be able to transform the way they related with their family and their kids, and these ripples that change literally every part of their life. And this year, we are going even deeper. Rather than in the past where we've really tapped into this presence and embodiment and stilling and slowing and tapping into who you really truly are, this year is an activation year. This is a year where we activate that wealthiest version of you. We activate the most feminine, wild version of you. We activate the most present, the most grounded, the most embodied, the most wild, desire-rich version of you. I guarantee that the version of you that steps in on Monday will no longer be there when she steps out on Friday. On Friday, you will walk away so much more magnetic, so much more unapologetic, so much more clear and crystal clear on who you are, where you're going, and what you're creating. This is not for the faint at heart. This retreat is for those who are really serious about no longer playing small and are ready to manifest their quantum leap in any area of their life this year. So if that's you, make sure that you go over and check out reneefick.com/awaken. Again, there are only a limited number of spots at this retreat. I think I've got a total of 10 and they are filling up so fast. So make sure that you go over there and secure one of those spots.
Yeah, I think we all have the opportunity to define our flavor of success.
Mm-hmm.
For some of us, it's like big and bold and private jets and, trips, all over the world and, that jet setting lifestyle. It's like super glamorous. And then for others, it's about being home and being present with your kids and having this like cozy, warm existence with the people that you love and being able to contribute to that in a meaningful way. And then there's, all the others, everywhere in between and beyond. But I do think that it's worth reflecting on because I think a lot of us are operating from a place of what we think success is outside of us, out there. And we see examples of it on social media instead of saying like, I didn't have that influence. What would success be for me? What would it look like? And beyond that, what would it feel like? Because everything we say we want, the $1 million business, the nice new car, the bigger house, all of that is because we think we're going to feel a certain way when we get it. So, and I love the work of Danielle Laporte because she talks about this all the time. She's like, define the feeling and then reverse engineer the steps or the goals that would bring you closer to that feeling. And they might not be what you thought if you're going for the feeling first.
Yeah. Yeah, so true. Even I think you and I talked a little bit before we hopped on and started recording of like this, just like focusing so much on rising and growing and scaling a business versus like the movement. And I would love for you to kind of dive into that a little bit of like what that looks like for you, because I know for myself particularly, and also a lot of the clients that I work with, the impact and the movement is oftentimes the bigger driver, right?
Yep.
Like when people ask me, like, what's your goal? What's your vision for the next year? Whatever, it oftentimes leads with those types of things. Like, it's, I would love to get my book. I said, I'm like, I would love for my book to be in the hands of 1 million women. Like that for me is like one of my focus and my drivers. The monetary ripples of that is fantastic, but it's like, that's where my intention and my vision is at. And I think that's different for some people. So I would love to know what your take is on that.
What my approach has been, or what I remind myself that my approach is, because it's so
Yeah.
easy to get swept up in thinking about the external, is what we were just saying, moving from that external, the strategies to bring in more money, reach more clients, convert more people. Like, how can I be like more slick in my sales and get people
Mm-hmm.
like buying in, to what is the movement I am here to
Mm-hmm.
lead? And how can I show up for that with so much focus and devotion that nothing is going to stop me? Not
Yeah.
a slow week or a slow month or a slow year, not a negative comment on social media, not the fact that I have 500 followers and someone else has 500,000. Like,
Mm-hmm.
nothing is going to stop me from being the steward of this movement. And so I
Mm-hmm.
talk to my women a lot about that. Of like, what is the movement you're here to lead? What is the mission of
Mm-hmm.
your heart, your soul? Like, what is that? Because I know we all have our moments where we get wrapped up
Mm-hmm.
in like, well, how do I have my 10K month? I need my 10K
Yeah.
month. How many clients do I need? And sometimes looking at the numbers and reverse engineering and sitting with those, we realize it's easier than we were thinking. Like, we can
Mm-hmm.
simplify it, and that's great. But underneath it, the driving force that I feel best when I anchor there and then bring it into action is that place of feeling into the movement and the mission and
Mm-hmm.
starting there. And then the strategies is just like, okay, this is helping me with my mission. You don't get so wrapped up in maybe the numbers the way you would if that was the only thing that
Yeah.
you were attaching your your driving energy to.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I talk a lot like with my clients, I talk about like the three energy centers, like the power centers for
Mm.
women and creating business. It's like the heart, the mind, and the womb, right? And so much of my work is about helping women tap back into the womb and the heart connection and like really tapping into that. And it's a similar kind of thing that you're talking about in the sense of when you like know innately through and through like what you're here to do in the world and like the legacy, the impact, the create that you want, and you would stand on a hill dying to your last breath, like preaching it. It doesn't matter where or how, like what movement, like what that movement is, doesn't matter how it executes. Like, that you would do this no matter what. I think that's the biggest thing that shifts for women, at least I've seen, is that we take it from this place of like, how do I just make money? How do I build a business? Like, tell me what to do. Tell me how to put the pieces together. Like, tell me all this. Instead, we activate something within them that it's like, it doesn't matter if you're at the soccer field and you're coaching soccer with your kids' soccer team, or if you're, speaking in front of a large audience, or if you're working at the cafe, the coffee shop, like that mission would come through you no matter what. That I think that changes things for people. Like when you find that, like it unlocks, and like I know people would talk about like what's your purpose? I don't love that. Like I don't love that feel of like what's your purpose? Like it doesn't, like, to me that doesn't make sense. For me it's this like visceral like inner knowing. Like this is something that, like you said, like a movement and like a legacy. Like this is the impact that I want to birth out into the world and like create this lasting ripple change on the people in my circle, the people across the globe, the people on the soccer field, like wherever it's at. And I talk about that like with me, like I know like so much of mine is like helping permission women to live their fullest lives, like to live the life they want to live unabashedly, like full permission granted. Like that's kind of like self-loving, like everything about how they want to live their life. And it doesn't matter. Like you'll hear me talking about that like when I'm still working per diem with the NICU, like with the moms, like same idea of like, what is it you want to do right now? How do you want to work with your baby right now? And then with my kids, it's like, well, maybe not with my kids, but no, just kidding. Like, but still that same sense of like, how do we permission that? Right. And you'll hear it. It's like in my very essence. It's like who I am and how I lead and how I show up. And then it lets all the other pieces of the how to's kind of just fall into place. Like those become less important, I guess is a good way to put it.
Yeah, and I honestly think you have to get to a place where those are less important because otherwise your entire existence is tied to these things outside of yourself that you have no control
Mm-hmm.
over and that, bring you up to a peak and then drop you down into the gutter, right? Because you're
Mm-hmm.
just happy if you're making money, you're bummed out if you're not, you're totally reactive to the natural cycles of your
Yeah.
business instead of anchoring into something steady and true that's just like always flowing through you and just moving from that place. And I
Yeah.
do not do this perfectly by any means,
Yeah.
but I do when I go there and when I start from that place, it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, boom, everything opens up. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I feel all the potential. I feel magnetic. I feel
Mm-hmm.
connected. You just have better conversations with people.
Mm-hmm.
When, like, if you're on a sales call and you're going in of like, I need to get this client to make money versus
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to show up with the energy of my movement and share from my heart what my mission is and how it could support this person. Like,
Yeah.
it's just totally different.
Yeah.
And people feel it on the other
Yeah.
side. I mean,
Yeah.
even through written communication, this isn't just about having person-to-person conversations. Through anything you're posting or sharing on social media, through your emails, through podcast interviews, all of it. They feel that energy and the agenda or lack
Mm-hmm.
thereof behind it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, what is your movement? What's your mission? What do you feel like is your on your heart?
Yeah, it's like one of the things I've struggled with honestly is encapsulating it, right? Because it's
Yeah.
such a felt experience that I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, my heart is like bursting open with this." And then to put words to it, sometimes it can escape you. But my my movement as I see it today is to be a way shower for awake women and to help them and guide them to bring their most powerful work into the world. That feels exciting every day
Yeah.
right now
Yeah.
with permission to change in the future.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's what feels really exciting. And that honestly is what, when I look all the way back, even to like my yoga days or even before that into interior design, there was always this thread of like wanting to help people live beautiful lives. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how can I help people see their own beauty, see the beauty around them, and just live a life that feels aligned with that? And
Mm-hmm.
didn't quite land on the iteration that was the best fit for me until, a few attempts. But for now, that feels like the most important thing for me to show up for.
Yeah. I know you mentioned that you have some practices that you kind of use, right? Like in kind of keeping what are some of the things that you do to help bring yourself back to that? Because I know, for
Mm.
me, like I'll go through these seasons and cycles, right? Like I think we all do. We go through these seasons and cycles where staying in that energy of like, this is the most expansive thing that I could possibly do. And it feels so potential and like limitless possibilities. And we can ride that wave. And then we're never going to stay in that wave all of the time. We're going to have those dips, like I talk about all the time, like these cycles and these rhythms that we go through. And there's these moments when we're in the dip that it's continuing to stay in the frequency of that and to stay in the energy of that. It's going to feel 100% different. Like I know when we hit those lull spots, it's not going to be the like, I'm blasting off the roof, like so excited. And I'll talk about this till the end of the days. But it's like, how do we maintain that same
Yeah.
vibration, right? Like, how do we maintain that same frequency of that calling, that movement, that mission that we're on, even when we're in those more maybe revenue isn't coming in, or we're strapped in our world, like our family life, like there's things that are calling to us, or maybe we're going through health changes, or look, whatever it might be. How do we maintain fixed on that star, like that thing that's really guiding us, and that movement that's calling us forward? I would love to know, like, what practices and tools and things that you use to maintain that.
Yeah, that's so true, right? Like there are moments when it feels so accessible. We're just like,
Mhm.
I am here and riding high. And we naively in those moments, we're like, and I'm gonna be here forever.
Yeah.
Like I
Yes.
like, how could I ever not be here? It's just,
Yeah.
and then you hit the other side where you're like, how was I ever there? Like, how did I
Mhm.
ever reach that place? So for me, some structure, like having some structure around my practices helps me tap into that vibe, that frequency, or enhance it if I'm there, or to
Mhm.
drop into it if I'm not. I've had a morning practice of some shape or form, for, I think 8 years now.
Yeah.
And it hasn't always, doesn't always look the same. It hasn't always been what it is now. But currently, what that looks like is probably 5 to 20 minutes of silent meditation or guided meditation, whatever I'm feeling on the day. Then I have a little altar in my office, like sitting in front of my altar with my candles lit, doing some journaling, having some really beautiful music on, and just coming back to myself. Like before
Mhm.
all the emails tell me how I should be thinking or feeling, or my team starts bringing things to me that need my attention, or whatever noise there is, that
Mhm.
I'm just there with me. And usually in my journal, I'll write my intentions, and I'll work with a certain intention over time. So I'll just like write it every morning of like, I am releasing the stories that no longer serve me. I'm releasing,
Mhm.
and just work with that for a period of time. And maybe I'll pull a card from my deck. And I don't know tarot very well. So I worked with my chat GPT bot, they help me out, and she helps me synthesize my card readings. And I just I just land there, give myself
Mhm.
that maybe if on a really nice day, maybe like up to 45 minutes. If it's quicker, maybe it's 15 or 20 total.
Yeah.
And just staying there. And sometimes that's the only moment I'm there all day. And then I stand up from my meditation cushion, I go to my computer, and there's an email there that I'm like, oh, and it
Mhm.
pulls my energy down.
Mhm.
And then I'm not bobbing high anymore. I've been pulled
Yeah.
back under. But then the next morning I'm back there and I float again. And then maybe
Yeah.
there's something that pulls me down, but I'm able to like find the float a little more. And then there's times where it's just really easy. And then my morning
Mhm.
practice is like about amplifying that energy. It's
Mhm.
gosh, like how can I bring this out in bigger ways and weave it through everything? And it just feels really juicy and really good. And that's not to say that's what everyone has to do, but I
Mhm.
do think having a structure for yourself where you are creating essentially sacred space for
Mhm.
you to connect with you, like that deep inner you. I mean, I don't know any other way in
Mhm.
than
Mhm.
doing that. I mean, otherwise, like, yeah, maybe you'll pop in randomly and you're like, oh, I'm here. But I'm feeling great and I don't know why. But having
Yeah.
some tools that you begin to understand and work with that like give you a little sense of control and agency
Mhm.
to like
Mhm.
choose your energy. It honestly feels really kind of I don't know, it feels kind of badass when you're like, "Oh,
Mhm.
I know the world right now is telling me I should feel like crap, but I am gonna feel like a freaking goddess right now." And
Yeah. Yeah.
it's kind of like deliciously, I don't know, rebellious or something. It feels kind of good.
Yeah. That's so good. I love that, like, deliciously rebellious, because it's like, well, I think just like where the world's at right now too. There's so much talk about women and what women are able to do, and what's possible for women, and like just where we can get caught down in that narrative. And I was listening to something recently, and it was talking about like wherever you give your attention to, that's what's going to continue to manifest, right? And
Mm,
so part of me, I was listening to somebody about like staying in touch with like what's actually happening in the news, versus being just totally oblivious. And when I heard this other woman say, like, the more you give your attention to something, the more you're going to see it manifest. And I was like, dude, more women just need to like not be in this naive bubble, but like more women need to actually own their power instead of sitting there watching and feeling like people are stripping it away or things are happening or things are changing or whatever. It's like, no, how do we step back into this frequency? Like, how do we step back into this place of like, no one can take away my energy. Nobody can take away my power. Nobody can take away like what's possible for me. And I think, my kids and I just read the book, The Hiding Place, about Nazi Germany. And like listening and reading this book, it's like, it doesn't matter what your external circumstances look like. Like, you control your power. Like, you can control your energy. Like, same thing like Nelson Mandela. Like, we hear all those stories about him being locked in prisons. Like, he owned his energy, he owned his presence. Like, and I think so much of what's happening in the world right now, like people are giving their power away to other people. And like what you're talking about here is like just coming back to yourself, like, and owning and choosing your energy, owning and choosing where you place your power and like who you give your power to, and like stepping in that fully every single day.
Yeah. And just like success, we were talking about like figure out
Hmm.
your flavor of success, your power. Everyone's has a different flavor. And like the women that I work with, one of the key pieces that we work with them on defining is their vibe. Like, what is their
Hmm.
natural frequency? Like, what I realized, I have a spiritual teacher, I've gone on retreats with her, and I realized like a lot of mine was like sort of like dark, edgy, feminine energy. I'm like
Mm.
Scorpio sun, I'm a Scorpio Venus. I work a lot with like Scorpio and Pluto and all of these like darker energies that for a long time I sort of thought I had to not be.
Mm. Hmm.
And so I love like bringing in like the moodier music and like dancing
Mm.
and feeling into it where someone else, they might have this like totally different flavor that really gets them going, that they're
Yeah.
really feeling into. And so I think that it's so important to spend some time with yourself to
Yeah.
see what does make you feel like you and what
Yeah.
does make you feel more connected to your mission and your soul and like all that amazingness that you feel inside in those moments when you
Hmm.
feel most alive because it's different for everybody.
Totally. I love that you brought that up too, because I've been watching like one of my mentors is like very bubbly and fun, and like she's deep and present and grounded, but at the same time, she's got this just like very open, light-hearted, jovial sort of energy. And I I love it about her. And yet at the same time, there's times where I'm like, wow, I wish I could be more like that. And I also see like I am a soft, like I'm a whole, like a soft, peaceful holder. And the more that I like step and I test and I play, it's like, oh, there's a space for all of that, right? Like, even just like you said, picking your flavor of like, we all are going to be drawn to different mentors for different things. And some of it's going to help us grow into areas that we maybe aren't as comfortable with. And like I think that's why I'm drawn to working with her, is because she is a little bit more of that. And I'm like, yeah, I could use a little bit more of that fun. I could use
Mhm.
a little bit more that playfulness. But I think when we dive into that, like into those other areas that are a little bit edgier for us or a little bit outside of us, they pull us into helping hone what we are naturally gifted at too. I think
Yes.
like there's this element of it's not me trying to emulate or be like her, but it's the more I like play into those edges, it's like it highlights where my strengths are and it highlights how I do show up and like what my vibe is. And I'm like, oh, I see this and I can play in this dance in this area of where she's at, but it also really hones, it like amplifies the vibe that I have, if that makes sense. That was a really convoluted way to say that, but like I think that there's some element of that, that there is room and energy. And I think as especially either in newer entrepreneurship or even, I mean, like comparing, like there's so much comparisonitis, and we look at other mentors and we think, oh, it's because they're so lively and jovial. That's what made her successful. Or, oh, I even threw something into Chat GPT the other day and I was like, how come this email didn't land? Like I had some ideas of why I thought it didn't land, and they wrote back and they're like, you were too blunt and straightforward and edgy with your people. Like your people come to you for wanting more space holding and softness and permissioning and welcoming. And so this was a little bit too more like boss babe, rich queen, like kind of energy. And I was like, oh, I could see that. And so it's like, it's interesting to see that like we all have our own flavor. It's going to attract somebody who's ready for that and wants that and is needing that, and also going to help them amplify what they're ready and needing to bring into too.
And how beautiful, right? That there's room for all of
Yeah.
us,
Yeah.
right? Like all of us in our own unique brilliance is exactly what it needs to be for the people that we are here to serve. There is, there's no need for that cutthroat competition energy, which I think so much of the women I connect with in the coaching space, they don't have that at all. But I feel like sometimes you can get a little flavor of that. And it's like, oh, well, do I really have something valuable to share? There's so many people in the space. Is it worth me doing this? It's like, well, yeah, everyone has their own flavor and
Yeah.
people need the options, right? I mean, how many,
Yeah.
at this point, oh my gosh, how many mentors have I worked with? I probably spent $200,000, $300,000 on coaching and courses and mentors and masterminds at this point. Like, it's so helpful to have exposure to different people,
Yeah.
even if they're all saying similar things. It just
Yeah.
lands, it can land differently when you're receiving it
Yes.
from different spokespeople.
Yeah. 100%. And I agree. I think there's so much available in room out there for everybody. Like even that like idea of competition. I had recently, actually, I was in an interview or something like this, and she was like, oh, I kind of see you as competition. Like we're maybe a little bit too similar. And it caught me off guard because I'm kind of in the space of like, I don't see the competition. Like, I really, and maybe it's naive. Maybe it's like my industry. And I feel like there aren't that many people doing exactly what I'm doing. But I think anybody could be in that. Like, nobody's really doing exactly what you're doing. But it would caught me so off guard to be in that space of like, when she approached me and thought I was competition, and where I did not see that at all. And it made me really, I like sinking my thoughts in, my like teeth in a little bit of this idea. Like, I really believe women are not meant to be in competition.
Yeah.
And that the whole idea of us being in competition is a patriarchal construct that is keeping us divided and keeping us from all of us really seeing our brilliance. Like 2026 is like my year. I'm like, I would love collaborations, community connections. Like that's a big part of where I'm headed in 2026. And like really seeing that as my primary means of growth is like working in collaboration with other people, because I really believe that that's how women were designed to build and to grow and to create in this world, is not by themselves, but in community. And so I find it so fascinating when I hear that. So I mean, like I just heard kind of same vibe out of you, but I'm curious if you've had those experiences or moments where you're like, ooh, collaboration versus competition.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for the most part, when I see someone who's in a similar space as me really killing it, I just feel inspired. Like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, like look at what she's built. That's amazing. Maybe I'll be like, oh, okay, let me see, like, kind of get a little nosy. I'll be like, let me see what
Mm-hmm.
she's talking about in her reels or like, what she's
Yeah.
sharing. But it's not from a place of like, oh, she's doing it better than me, or she's smarter than me, or what I have isn't good enough, or anything like that. I feel like I haven't felt that competition thing in a while.
Mm-hmm.
That was sort of as I was sharing my old version of success, which was so like money
Mm-hmm.
and being able
Mm-hmm.
to buy things with money. is
Mm-hmm.
I think back in that day, it was more, and I had done less work on my like on healing my own stuff inside, that I was felt more like, ugh, am I good
Yeah.
enough? And comparing myself. Now I love what you said about your vision for 2026 being like community and collaboration and like coming together with other women. Cause that's exactly what I've identified as my like primary focus for the year ahead, because it feels healthier for
Mm-hmm.
me. Honestly, as a business owner, this past year, I spent a lot of time like rebuilding structures and building team. It was a lot of like inside the business work and inside of me work.
Mm-hmm.
like I'm feeling the call to like
Yeah.
connect with my
Yeah.
women, not just my clients, but the women who are my peers, and
Yeah.
say, how are we shaping the industry and what are we doing differently as a collective? And how can we change the narrative from
Mhm.
all of this like AI generated, money focused marketing to truth telling and integrity?
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
I honestly think the coaches and the women that are going to rise in the months and years ahead are going to be the people who stand very clearly in their truth and share from a
Mhm.
place of vulnerability and authenticity, not from shiny numbers for the sake of shiny numbers.
Yeah.
Um, I feel you 100% there. I think women are meant to be in connection and in community, and it is a patriarchal, you know, actually very clever piece of it that they have brought in that narrative of competition and women against
Mhm.
women, because women's power amplifies when they come together in circle and in
Mhm.
support and in sisterhood. And they broke that apart for us. And so
Mhm.
as we start to like reweave that, that's when we cultivate that unstoppable energy of like, we're like a freaking force to be
Yeah.
reckoned with. And that feels really amazing. And then you're not just
Mhm.
trying to juice the energy in yourself, you're feeling it from like the whole
Mhm.
collective around you.
Mhm. 100%. I do think, like you even said, like, it sounds like we're riding very similar waves. Like 2023, 24 were my like, oh my gosh, my body is breaking, like everything's falling apart. And like maybe I'm gonna close the doors on all of this. Like I'm gonna walk away. Like I can't do this anymore. And not from a place of like overwhelm or exhaustion, just like there's something not sitting well with me anymore. And then 2025 was my year of like, I'm just going to be content with it exactly how it is. Like last year, January, my word of the year was contentment. I was like, can I just be content with where it's at right now? Not growing it, not pushing for anything, not being like just purely being in the energy of like, it is what it is, and this is what it's going to be. And can I be 100% happy just as is, like no changing? And can I just be okay with like not working, not launching, not whatever, like whatever it might look like, you know? And this year has been such an inward year, a year of like shedding things, leaving things, changing things, like completely restructuring things to where now I feel like, okay, now I'm ready to look forward to like where we're at in the next year. And I think
Yeah.
even your thing of like feeling the call towards connections and things, that's where I'm like, dude, I was like, I don't even want online connections anymore. I want people connections. Like, I want to meet with you. I want to sit with you and have dinner. I want to get coffee with you. I want to like be with people. And maybe that's partly too because I live in San Diego. There should be lots of entrepreneur, spiritually people like me, but I just don't know any of them. Like I'm so used to like being in these programs and working with masterminds of people that are like in Belgium and Oklahoma and like all over the place. And I'm sitting here by myself, you know? I was like, I don't want that anymore. And so I've started connecting and reaching out and like I even to the point where I told my husband, I was like, I do all my workouts at home right now. I was like, I think next year I need to start going to class. Like, I need to go to a studio. Like, I need to get out of the house and be with people. And so, even this last couple weeks of like going to work out at the gym, like in class, like I signed up at a dance studio and at a yoga studio. And so, like, at the two places, like just going to those two places, I've done a couple of like in person meetups and events like I've attended and things. And it's like, wow, like I just feel like my body is feeling so supported in such a different way, even without like direct, like, hey, this is my new bestie or this is my new, person that I'm like connected to forever from here going forward, or this is going to be some major collaboration. It's just like, just being in the room, like just being in the collective of other women. Like, I remember being in this dance class when I'm not a dancer at all. Like, I did not go to dance classes growing up. I did not love, like, I mean, my dancing is atrocious. That's not me. But I went to this class, and it's kind of a little bit of a sensual dance studio. It's not just like hip hop or whatever. It's like, let's connect women with their bodies type of dancing. And so, one, it's like outside of my scope. I told my friend, I was like, I'm going to this dance studio. This is my therapy for this year. Like, I'm going to learn about my body. I'm going to move from a very somatic way of like reconnecting with my body. When I went in, I was thinking, man, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to move like this. My hips don't move. Like, what is it? Like, my hips don't lie or whatever. My hips don't move. And so I was like in there at first thinking like, I'm going to be so like, what are other people are going to think? And when I'm in there and then when I got in there, it was like everybody at their own pace, everybody doing their own thing, everybody twerking and doing their whatevers, like however they were doing it. You saw big people, little people, tall people, short people, like people that had good moves, people that didn't. And like it did not matter. Like we were all in there in this collective energy of every woman owning their body and owning their power. And I think that's where I want to see us going. Like, it doesn't matter whether it's online space, whether it's in your dance, or whether it's in the bedroom, whether it's with your kids, wherever it's at. It's like, how do we help women start to see like there isn't this sense of comparing and that we don't need to compare ourselves to other people. We just need to collectively come together and be in the room together and do the thing together. And then we all rise. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just such a quick doorway in if you really just go for it to just feel like fully alive.
Mm.
I think one of the most beautiful things is like, especially as a mother, when you dance, it makes your kids so happy. Like
Yeah.
if I start dancing, my girls are like immediately there, like, yes, mom, we're down for this. Like the kids know like that you're meant
Yeah.
to move your body and like express and be free and feel good. And like so much of what I feel like I'm doing now as I enter my 40s is just a remembering of all the stuff
Mm-hmm.
I innately knew and intuitively knew when I was young, before
Yeah.
all like the world impressions came in on me. And one of them is definitely like being being with people that make you feel good. Like
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be hanging out with our friends and going to sleepovers and all that stuff. And now we're all behind our computer screens alone in our homes all day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? It's just and then after the pandemic and everything like that, like we've really siloed. And so I think there is this like hunger for reconnection
Mhm.
and I love that you just like went out and found it. Like, I'm just going to go to some classes. This feels good. And that's such, it's so important to move when we feel those impulses. That's what it's all
Yeah.
about. That's how we can build beautiful aligned businesses is by honoring and hearing those impulses so they don't have to become like these loud, like slap across the face. They can just be these beautiful, gentle nudges that we move and flow.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so good. We could probably keep going and talking forever, but I know we both have lots of other behind the computer things to do today. No, I'm kidding. But I would love for you to share with people where they can find you, where they can connect with you, what can they learn more about what's going on in your world?
Yeah, absolutely. So my favorite platform for like connecting with people is Instagram. You can follow me at Cailen.Ascher. Send me a DM. Like, let me know if you connected with me through Renee. I would love to meet you. Um, and then in terms of sort of diving deeper into like the business conversation of finding that like soul and strategy that aligns for you, I have this great little 20-minute training I just created. You can grab it at CailenAscher.com/shift. And it takes you into how to view your business as a sacred vessel and
Mm,
bring that energy of a movement maker into it so that you are really focusing on the power moves that you're meant to be making instead of just copying what someone else is doing on Instagram and then wondering why
mm.
it's not working for you. So if that's something that's of interest to you, I'd love for you to grab it. It's quick and simple and kind of takes you deeper into that element of our conversation today.
So good. Thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything you feel like we kind of left out or that you want to leave people
Oh
with?
goodness. We had such a beautiful conversation. It
Mhm.
flowed so nicely, and I just love reconnecting with you, Renee.
Yeah.
Um, I guess if I would just to like put a bow on that one piece where we were talking about at the beginning about success and reaching for success, and then when you hit those milestones, if you haven't been doing the work along the way, the internal work, how you just bring all the same problems you had when you were making $50,000 to when you're making $500,000. is that the journey has to align with the destination. So if we're
Mhm.
journeying with stress and frustration and self criticism, when we arrive at whatever destination that we thought was going to solve all our problems, we're just going to have
Mhm.
all that same stuff with us.
Mhm.
So it's so worthwhile to look at the things that you're hoping that external thing is going to solve and just go
Mhm.
right there to the heart of it
Mhm.
and think about, okay, how can I bring more joy and more lightness and more appreciation and more flow or whatever it is into now
Mhm.
while still, yeah, going after the things you want to go after. Because I do think our lives are a journey of expansion and we're meant to
Yeah.
grow and
Yeah.
experience. But I think we're also meant to feel good on the way.
Yo,
So,
yes.
yeah, I'll leave
Mhm.
us with that.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it kind of goes back to that idea. Like I've shared when, like my husband was having his brain tumor stuff. It's like, you never know when tomorrow, like when you never know when today is going to be your last breath. Like you never know when that moment's going to come. And if we're so caught up in living, thinking that I've got 40 more years and I've got plenty of time to live the life I want, like we don't know that. So how do we actually enjoy today at the same time as going after big goals and creating what we want and living those two things at the same time? Yeah.
Mm, yeah, that's
So
beautiful.
good. Thank you so much for coming on. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day.
You too, Renee. So good to see you.
You too.